Hello, this is Robin Johnson. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Annette Müller, healer, teacher, author, film producer, and a lover of life and humanity. Annette is the founder and director of Villa Saint Esprit, the first inpatient clinic for energy healing in Germany, with its own school for healers, École Saint Esprit. Her three flagship healing modalities are Amazing Grace, Sky Yourself, and Karmic Atlas Release. Annette's pioneering way of healing is endorsed by both medical doctors and scientists, including Dr. Rolf Frobosu. No, I don't think I got that quite right. How do you say it?
Dear Robin, do you want me to help you out how to say that?
I would love that.
Okay, I'll just say it. It is Dr. Rolf Frobosu.
Okay.
So all the English-speaking people, I don't even try.
He is the highly regarded science journalist and research assistant at the Max Planck Institute. Max Planck is the originator of quantum theory and winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918. So that is quite an endorsement, I think. The most famous healer, Jesus, is quoted as saying in Luke 4:23, "Physician, heal thyself." And although you're not a medical doctor, this is exactly what you did. So tell us how your debilitating car accident in 2004 led you on a path to heal yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Robin, for the great good fortune and for the honor of being here in this conversation with you. To tell your audience just in a nutshell about my car accident. There I had a neck injury which dislocated the atlas vertebra, that is the upper vertebra, which is connecting the brain to the rest of the body. And there we had afterwards a lot of irritations, which led to incredible pain and also very straight to life's end. And physicians could not help me, even though they tried. And I met beautiful people with a great heart, trying everything to get me out of the condition. And finally, we could find the cause of all of my troubles, which was not easy to detect because physicians do not look at the first vertebra. They just say, oh, this is a neck injury, this is natural, or you are depressed and so you take some medicine or whatever. So here, after we found out what had happened in that car accident to me, I was pushed to try energy healing by my late mother. She saw something on TV and she said, well, why don't you try this? And I did try energy healing. Maybe you couldn't say just for fun, because nothing was fun at that time. But I mean, I tried so much, why shouldn't I try this too? And this was the only thing that had helped me a little bit. And that little bit compared to nothing meant the world to me. And from that moment on, when I experienced that energy healing could be of a positive impact on my own health, I said, well, this straw, the last straw, I'm going to grab and I'm going to hold onto it. And indeed, it carried me over the ocean of despair and illness and desperation and I reached the other side, and coming out on the other side, I said, this is going to be my life. This is going to be my new life. This is going to be my world from now on. And I trained myself in so many healing modalities, practicing everything, putting into action everything I had learned. And with the time, I had such amazing results that I opened the first stationary hospital for energy healing. And afterwards, people came to me and they said, wow, this is like absolutely breathtaking, amazing. How can we learn this? So I led them through, okay, you have to go here and you learn this part, and you have to go there and you learn that part, and then you travel to France and you learn this part, and then you travel to Switzerland and you learn that part, and then you travel to Austria to learn this, and then you travel to Germany to do this, and then in the end you travel to Hawaii to learn something else. And then I said, wait a minute. Can't you just teach us? And this was the moment when I said, okay, I'll do it. And this is something I would like to tell to your listeners. If you have an idea and it's far out, just try it. Just do it. Maybe you find by trying to do it that you are indeed capable of doing it, even though you didn't know before.
That's a fabulous journey, and how you turned something that was really quite tragic, because I seem to remember from your biography that your spinal column was pretty much crushed, and there was no hope for you from the conventional perspective. And not only did you heal yourself, but to share it with others is just amazing. I think it was since you were around 15, if I remember correctly, you spent many years living off and on in an ashram in India and studying the Vedas. How would you say that the understanding of Vedic science has influenced your understanding of how to heal?
Well, let me set this a little bit differently. I started Hatha yoga and meditation even younger than that. I was around 9 when I was taught chi movements and judo and meditation by studying martial arts when I was a child. Then I started to practice Hatha yoga afterwards, like not knowing what I was doing, but I was like having so much fun getting myself in these pretzel positions that just felt good, and to stay there for hours on end. Then I met somebody who taught me or told me something about like real meditation. This was also something that I was 13. And I said, I want to do this. And she said, no, you're too young. You can't do this. But it always stuck in my mind that I would like to do this because it sounded so mysterious and just like an adventure path that I want to go down and explore. And then I actually was initiated into meditation when I was 15. That was Transcendental Meditation. And my mom had to sign that I was allowed to do this because I wasn't 16 yet. And then this started me on the path of meditation and experiencing other realms of things that can develop in your mind that then become reality in the material world. And when I wasn't even 18, I was off to live in India more than 3 years in an ashram. And when you ask me about Vedic science, I would love to tell you that I know nothing about Vedic science, because that is such a vast, vast field. One human life is not long enough to actually know things about Vedic science. Even though I had so much contact to Vedic teachings, it is something that is mind-boggling, and you hear the words, they are explained to you. You hear them 20 times, 200 times, 2,000 times, you don't understand a thing. But then, in a moment of not even a second or less than a second, you suddenly have your consciousness expand and understand all of those things that had been taught you by 4 or 5 books and years of pondering theoretic knowledge. And all of this is just in a second and becomes reality. It's like, it's absolutely amazing. And I think that Vedic science is larger. It holds larger knowledge than our universe. So it's just eternal. It has no beginning and no end. So this is why I have to tell you, nope, I know nothing about Vedic science.
I've been doing a little reading on some comparison with, let's say, an aspect of Vedic science and quantum physics, and how the observer, well, in Vedic science, they call it like a triangle: the observer, the observed, and the action of observing. And that, and in quantum physics, how they have done the experiments, that the observer influences the experiment, so that nothing is set in stone, that we can influence matter with our mind and our intention. And I think this is a big part of what you teach.
So, okay, I'm trying to comment on this. The observer, the observed, and the action of observing is one. If you divide those 3 things, that's division. When you start to divide, this is where you start to have the problems. So wherever you are, you're the observer, you are the observed, and you are the action of observing. The action of observing cannot exist without the observer. Without the observer, something cannot be observed. If there should be something that is observed, how does it know it's observed if there is not an observer, and if there is not the action of being observed? So you actually cannot divide this. And this is one of our core problems, that we divide things. And we think that these divided objects or things have boundaries, and they are not part of each other, and they are not part of yourself. This is where you create, let's go to healing, where you create illness. Because in the core, it is so easy. You know, here you have the problem. You have a problem or a thesis, and how many billions of money goes into the observation of the observed, the observer, and the action of the observing action. That if you make it one, you have the solution. You don't even need to have a science about this, because, I mean, so if somebody really, if somebody has a scientific mind, which is a bright mind, a mind that can do critical thinking, that can do division and putting things back together, which is fantastic. But what happens with a person that is that scientist, that is the carrier of that one mind, that does the thinking? That's a person, that's a human being. And that's a mighty power to be a human being. So what I would say to everyone that does this kind of thinking, of dividing and putting things back together, ask yourself this question. When I am no more, so when I'm dead, when I am no more, am I without the world? Or is the world without me? That is a really great question that can lead you to observations and insights. And it's like a bottomless cup of wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is a powerful thought to ponder.
Yes, that's a very powerful thought to ponder, especially before going to sleep. before experiencing that little death, where you like your consciousness shuts off. So if you're asleep, are you without the world, or is the world without you? Are you without your consciousness, or is the consciousness without you? So yes, it's very powerful.
Yes. How would you explain to someone how energy healing works?
How would I? Well, it depends on the person, because it definitely depends on the person. I experienced that whoever asks me this question, my answer somehow adjusts to the consciousness of the person asking me this question. And it, of course, always leads to the explanation of how it works, but the explanation is always different. So this is actually a question that cannot be, from my point of view, answered like a recipe. That cannot be answered like a recipe, how you make a cake or a salad or something. So it would be great if you could somehow ask me a question about some aspect, or phrase it a little differently.
Okay, well, I have had the blessing and good fortune of spending a lot of time with you and taking the training and assisting in the training for Amazing Grace. And I have seen how your enthusiasm and joy of this is infectious in a way. And you were able to enable the students to demonstrate their ability to affect healing in others. And I know that part of this is in the training, you're helping to show them or give them an understanding of a different reality, how this three-dimensional world we live in and move in and, have our daily lives, how there's so much more, and how we can access this power. And I think one of the things that makes your training, your way, so unique, is that you make sure in a way that the students have these demonstrations, that they can see a spine straighten on the table during the course of the training with just energy, and maybe even with hands on or off the body. And this is pretty mind-blowing. I know even for the volunteer clients that come and have these experiences, sometimes it's hard for them to believe that some condition they've had or pain they've had for years is suddenly gone. It's like it really alters their view of reality and what is possible. And so I don't know if you have a way of saying what happens or how this happens or anything you'd like to comment.
Yes, we have this opens a huge field of comments to me. What I would like to say is that what the students experience and the volunteers that come experience, that is the falling away of delusion. So we are growing up with this condensed consciousness. With a condensed consciousness, it's like the narrow consciousness that we are in our capacities limited. In truth, and so many people are proving this in their everyday life, in our history of humans, we are not. If you have a determined mind, a determination, if your mind, which has incredible powers, says, I am going to do this, I'm going to walk over the Alps, then everybody's going to tell you, no, you can't do this. This was like 200, 300 years ago. 400, 500 years ago, you would say, I'm going to fly over the Alps. And then humanity would tell you, no, it's not possible. So we have the proof that these things are possible. It is all an evolution of consciousness. It is an evolution of capacities. It's an evolution of the mind, nature, humans. What links us all is growth. So when you say, okay, you have on the one hand, you have something that grows, it reaches a peak, it decays and dies. Yes, if you have a narrow point of view, that is true from that point of view. But if you see that everything that so-called dies and decays is just a metamorphosis, and it's spreading itself 1,000 or 1,000,000-fold and comes back as in a different shape, as a different being. So growth is constant. Growth and change, and the change for growth is something that makes us, that is our nature. So I lost my track of thought. What did you actually want to know? Oh, why? Yes, I got it again. So I wanted to explain what happens when they see a healing. A wrong concept is shattered at that moment because they had the belief and their mind was conditioned that such a thing is not possible. And to explain why this kind of energy healing can work is that before something manifests, at first, it is information. Before anything can manifest, it's information. And you see this especially with things that are created by humans. Before anyone has their idea in their minds as a thought, it will not be created. It needs to be an idea in the mind as a thought of one person first, and then it might be created. So we are working with this subtle information to change what has been materialized. And the human body is so changeable. It can change in a second. Actually, it's changing every second. And so here, if you, with your stronger consciousness of conviction, because you as a healer, being very experienced in healing, because you've done it so often and it never failed, with this stronger conviction, you undo a chain of wrong beliefs. And that's what heals the person, which sounds so theoretic, but it's not. It is. We are doing this. It's our daily life. Well, you've been watching it. You've been doing it yourself. You know that this is reality. And it has nothing to do with belief. It has to do with reality. It has to do with knowledge.
Yeah, I find it's so exciting because when you see these demonstrations on a personal level, being able to affect healing in someone in their physical body or emotional body, if that's possible, then we could expand that. If we can break down our conditioned thinking to heal the rivers and the lakes and the ocean, and just take it on a.
Yes. Well, when you're saying, or when somebody is saying you heal the rivers, the lakes, the ocean, you are saying that the rivers, the lakes, the ocean need healing. Well, they just need to be stopped being polluted, and then they are going to heal very fast.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen that they stop being, the pollution stops. The pollution doesn't happen through nature itself, but it happens through the wrong thinking of many, many humans. So you need to start at the core problem. And the core problem is the consciousness of those humans that are the cause of polluting the oceans, the rivers, and our nature. So if we could start this movement of expanding the consciousness of humans, then there would be no need to heal the ocean or rivers, because they can heal themselves very fast. Same with when you look at the physical level, just the physical level of illnesses, just stop hurting your body and then it will heal. Stop putting junk food. Stop beating your body up with bad thoughts. Stop polluting your body. Stop toxic relationships. Stop working in toxic companies. So it could be so easy, but it's not. And why is it not? Because we are scared. We're scared. We have fears. We carry fears. And the fear is scarcity. So if we could change this around and get away from the fear of scarcity by experiencing that we do carry the universe and the universal powers, the eternal powers, and the almighty powers inside of ourselves, there is no more room for any fear. So it's all back to expanding consciousness of coming to experience our true nature, which again sounds very theoretic. But when you heal, it's no more theoretic, it's reality. And not only for yourself, for your client, patient, or however you call the person in need, but also for the people experiencing the healing. And that's like mind-blowing. You said it, and I would not say mind-blowing, but it blows away the, how do you say that? The wall that had been created, which keeps our mind condensed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. That's very beautifully expressed.
Yes.
So do you have hope for our future? Do you think that we'll get to a place of expanded consciousness on a scale?
Well, I cannot say that, but when you look at history and when you look at the evolvement of humans, there has been constant, non-stopping evolvement of consciousness. There's it goes in waves. It goes ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. But when you look at this curve, it always goes higher and higher and higher, bit by bit. So yes, maybe not in your life, maybe not in my life, but for humans, yes, definitely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to say?
What would I like to say to the listeners? Yeah. Ask yourself, who am I really? I am a human being. What is that exactly? So you've been teaching me this incredible lesson, Robin. You've explained to me what it means, the word human. Maybe you want to tell our listeners what it means to be human. And by the way, I made this great film to convey this knowledge. Human, what does it mean, and what are we, and what do we carry in our name? So, Robin, the ball is, you've got the ball.
No, I'm going to give it back to you. I think you would be much better at sharing this, explaining this. So, Annette, what does it mean to be human?
So, man, this is going to be a very long. This is going to be a very long podcast now. If you want me to start with the word man, M-A-N, man has the root in Sanskrit, and that root called is manas, M-A-N-A-S, which means mind. And so Sanskrit and German, they are linked together. They have the same roots. So we in German, we got this word which translates as a man, a male. Mm-hmm. So, and the female is a woman, which we do not have in German. We just have a man. And so that when you talk about men, you're talking about the males, but you wipe out all the females. That's a huge topic in German. But in the root, man means mind, manas.
So it's not about gender.
It's not at all about gender. It is solely the mind. The mind can be in a man, in a woman, in a child, in somebody who's lost memory, and so on and so on. So it's totally neutral. And the word hue is the first sound of creation. It is very strongly connected to the syllable Om. It's just a different kind of tradition. And so you put this hue, the primordial sound of creation, which comes, if you want to use Christian words, from God, the creative energy, like that first vibration from all creation starts. That's what HU represents. So if you put this together, you finally, eventually, you have the holy mind, which is the Holy Ghost, so to say, if you look at Christianity and also other teachings. So if you look at this way at the word human, you have to acknowledge this incredible divinity that lies in each single person.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I'm going to put the link in the text part of this so that everybody can watch your film, Human.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
And go a little deeper on that journey.
Yes, wonderful. Great.
Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate the work you do in the world, and I just and your presence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what I think would be also very absolutely amazing, not only to put the link to the film there, but also maybe to that little clip of our work that we did just now with Healers Beyond Boundaries in Mexico, where we went to these to the Casa Abba, that is a sanctuary for severely injured people that flee from the Southern Americanas to try to reach a good life in the USA or beyond. And they fall from the freight train called the Beast, and very often lose their limbs. And this institute gives shelter to those injured ones. They come there, they get first aid, they get transported to the hospitals where they get their operations and get the limbs amputated if it needs to be. And then they go back and heal inside the Casa Abba until they get their prothesis, and then they can go and get a completely new life. And they get all kinds of support. And there we went on our mission, Healers Beyond Boundaries, where we offer free healing to the needy. And we worked with these deeply, deeply traumatized people. And what we done there was just breathtaking, fantastic. And that's where it's no more theoretic, but you can watch what happens and you can say, oh my God, that's like, wow. And it's a joy doing this. It's a joy helping people start their journey on a way into getting rid of their limited ideas about themselves and doing this divine work is such a great joy. And that's where my enthusiasm comes from.
And there's so much love that flows through it.
Oh, that's like, my God. Yes.
I know when I was with you at the healing camp in Pondicherry, India, a couple years ago, yes. It was also so touching. So it's hard to describe in words. You know, it felt like magic and so much love.
Yes, yes. Every minute feels like magic. Yes.
Mhm.
But that's not meant. This should be our daily reality.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Robin. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to listen to your audience. And thank you very much for being in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for being in mine.